welcome to another episode of the Eddie Donan Show, the last one of 2024. I'm here with my friend, realtor and team member, Merrick Bao. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
First time here on the show. How do you like it so far?
So far, good. Yeah, I enjoyed the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a good experience. And today, we're going to be pretty much breaking down what happened in 2024, because I know we have a lot of questions about the market. It was a very active year. We had interest rate cuts. We had the market, fluctuating in number of sales and a lot of changes with the mortgage rules. So we're going to be talking all about that. But first, I want to introduce my guest, Merrick Bao, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. How are you doing, Merrick? Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Merrick. I'm a realtor with a Remax Hallmark on the Eddie Donan team.
Good.
It was an amazing year.
Good. And how long, Merrick? You haven't been in the industry for that long, but you're absolutely killing it. You're doing really, really well. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far in real estate.
Yes, I started like a real estate business 3 years ago. I invested a few cottage properties and then started rental property, like a rental business, short-term rental business. And then I had a passion and interest in like a real estate business. And
Good.
then I jumped into real estate agent 2 years ago.
That's awesome. That's really good. And what a lot of people don't know about Merrick is he actually runs a lot of successful Airbnb. So he helps investors not only acquire property and invest into real estate, but he also manages the Airbnb rentals. How many do you manage so far? Like, how many do you have under your?
So far, I have like 20 plus.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I still have more coming. Like yesterday, I got another cottage in Muskoka, and just like 20 minutes ago, I had a phone call and have another short-term rental in downtown Toronto.
That's really, really good, because I find you're a true specialist in that, right? So you help the clients with everything, right? From beginning to end.
Yeah, from the beginning to the end, even remove the tenants.
Right.
So like really solve the problem.
Well, good for you. That's amazing. So I'm happy to be on the show here. And as promised, I want to start talking about what happened in 2024. So this show is to end off the year. I want to let you know exactly what happened. And most importantly, we're going to try to get our crystal ball out here, and we're going to have some predictions for 2025, because quite frankly, I think that 2025 is going to be an interesting year. There's going to be a lot of changes in the world in general, but in real estate speaking, I think we're going to see a lot of changes for the positive side, right?
Yes, I'm quite positive
Yeah.
for 2025.
Yeah. So 2024, where we're at right now with the market is 2024 had a rough start, right? So if we look at numerically speaking, 2022 and 2023 were low number of sales, right? So to give you an idea, in 2022, we had 75,000 sales. And in 2023, we had 65,000 sales. This is the Toronto Real Estate Board, right? And in previous years, we were as high as 113,000 number of sales, 90,000, and it went down quite a bit. So we had a lower number of transactions. And this obviously happened because the interest rates started to go up back in 2022. So very, very common phenomenon. Interest rates started to go up. Number of transactions started to go down. And that continued well into 2023, which was the lowest year. And now 2024 started off with a low number of sales. Now, I think that the topic of conversation that everyone has is that over the last 6 months, the Bank of Canada has been quite aggressive in the rate reduction. And we have seen over the last 3 months a direct correlation between the rate reductions and the number of sales happening. So, for example, the months of September, October, and November, we've seen double-digit increases in the number of sales. And Merrick, you're an active realtor. How have you felt the last 3-4 months since the rates started to really come down aggressively?
Yes, especially like from October, November, I feel like buyers are quite active, and they are ready to return to the market.
Yeah, I agree with you. And one thing that we always talk about, and we talk about at office meetings and whatnot, is that these buyers, if we look at 2021, there were 113,000 sales done, right?
Yeah.
And then we compare to 2023, there were 60,000 sales done. That's almost half. These buyers didn't really disappear. What we felt always as a team and as an industry is that a lot of buyers were waiting on the sidelines. They didn't want to take action because they were afraid, of uncertainty in the market. And that's normal.
True.
And I think that with the interest rates coming down and other mortgage regulation changes we're going to talk about soon, I think it's giving consumers confidence again. And they want to get back in.
Bank of China predicts the rate will reduce to 2.5% in their 2025, the middle of the year. And at that, when rate reduced to 3%, and the buyer will have more confidence, and they will return to the market.
I agree. And I also think that what we're going to be seeing with the rates coming down and regulations changing for mortgages, which is really making it more affordable for first-time buyers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but there has been changes as of December 15th, so just a few days ago. There were big changes in the mortgage industry, so we'll talk that, in a way will really make things more affordable for first-time home buyers, and it will really benefit high-income earners that didn't have enough down payment. Because if we see pricing in Toronto, even though it came down, pricing's still quite high. In the GTA, pricing's over $1.1 million for a home. So it's not cheap, right? And the way it was before, you needed an X amount of down payment in order for you to get into the market above $1 million. Now that's changed completely. It's shrunk. So I have live examples, which we'll talk about. And that's really going to point it into the right direction. More people are going to be entering the market, right? And I think we're going to see very, very healthy growth, right? And we're starting to see it right now. We're very active in December right now. We're busy right now with clients. We're busy with listings. We're busy with buyers. A lot of inquiries coming in. So we're feeling the momentum change already.
Yes, I can feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So looking into the numbers right now, where we stand right now is that over the last few months, our growth year over year, so comparing the month of November, for example, of 2024, comparing to 2023, the number of sales is up 40%. And generally what happens in every market, the number of sales usually precedes price growth or decline. So for example, back in 2022, when we started seeing month over month decline in number of sales, the price stood steady for the first few months and then it started to come down, right? Because if there's less sales, then there's less pricing. Pricing will go down, right? What we're starting to see right now is that the price is steady. There's not a huge growth in price month over month or year over year, but the number of sales are increasing quite a bit. So I feel that if this continues, we're getting month over month more sales, we're getting year over year more sales, pricing will start to go up. And I think for people that have been sitting on the sidelines right now, the next few months are going to be kind of that golden opportunity that if you've been thinking of buying, hey, it might be in your best interest if you're able to do it in the next few months to do it before pricing starts to climb up again in that cycle that usually happens in Toronto.
Yeah, the coming spring will be a good time for buyers and sellers to take action.
Yeah, I think so. And I've seen this before, right? Like I remember we were talking about it off camera in 2019. 2018 and 2019 were very similar years to 2023 and 2024, right?
Yes.
We came from a big peak in 2017 and then things started to decline. Same as now, 2022, and then things started to decline. And we saw a momentum change. In 2019, I started to see a momentum change around Christmas, around this time. I started seeing things selling a little bit more. And January 2020, February 2020, pre-pandemic, it was one of the busiest months. So a lot of people, I think, mistakenly believe that it was the pandemic, it was COVID, it was just the interest rates that dropped that made the market so hot. And no, the market was starting to get very, very hot in January and February before the shutdown happened. I remember I had listings that were for sale the previous fall, the previous summer, and so summer of 2019, and we were getting no showings for them. No showings, no offers. It was very slow time. And then we put them up for sale in January, February, and like this, they were selling. So I think we're going to start seeing that momentum shift right now because there's a lot of buyers out there. There's less houses coming for sale. Sale year over year, we're seeing a growth of 40% in number of sales. Listings are only going up 5 or 6%. So you're starting to get that momentum, that shift where there's now more buyers, but less people putting up their houses for sale.
Yeah, I think so.
And so wonderful opportunities ahead for it. So in 2024, those were the key main changes that we've seen. Right now, as of the time of this recording, we're sitting at around 64,000 sales being reported in the Toronto Real Estate Board compared to 65,000 of last year. I want to make sure my numbers are accurate. So we're pretty much right on par to where we were in 2023, but the numbers of December have not been counted. So to give you an example, last December, we had roughly around 3,500 sales. I think the number of sales in December this year are going to be closer to 5,000, if not maybe 6,000. So we are going to be above 2023 by the end of the year. I think we already are.
Yeah,
but once it's all
much
counted,
better than last year.
it's going to be above. And one thing that we always talk about, and I know you talk about with your investors, it's not only number of sales, but it's a trajectory, right? The momentum.
Yes.
And that's a word that I've been throwing around a lot today. It's momentum, as we feel that things, they were flat for a while, but now you're starting to see more year-over-year growth in number of sales. You're starting to see a lot of precursors, just taking off. And for me and for us as realtors, it really starts boots on the ground. We really start feeling a slowdown or a pickup in number of sales before anyone else. Because the numbers that I'm reading to you guys and then we're talking right now, that's historic numbers, right? We're looking at things that happened last month, but we really feel it right away, right? We see our listings getting more showings or less showings. We see the phone ringing more or less, right? You're getting more leads, more people reaching out to you. And pretty much ever since, I think you said it correctly, probably September, I started feeling more people, that were hiding before. They're starting to say hi now, and they're starting to come out and making, inquiries and activities and going out to see houses and visiting mortgage brokers for pre-qualifications. And I think we're going to see that lining up quite nicely for the next year.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that was very important this year were the changes in mortgage regulations. And in Toronto, in the Greater Toronto area, we have an affordability problem. Houses, even though pricing has been corrected, housing was still fairly expensive. And with the interest rates being higher, it made it very, very difficult for people over the last couple of years to get into the housing market comfortably.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you had rates sitting at around 6%. You had average price being close to $1.1 million. It makes it expensive. And now that rates are being reduced or being cut down, I think pricing will start to go up. But in this portion in time that you're seeing aggressive rate cuts, I think it's a good opportunity for people to get into the market.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on everything that's happening right now?
So in the next 3-6 months, the market will be quite balanced. So it will be now it's very close to balanced market.
Yeah, for sure. The months of inventory, independent, when we talk about the market, it's interesting because we're really looking at the Toronto Real Estate Board. Generally, what I look at is the greater Horseshoe area, right, which covers all the way from Hamilton to Hastings. So it's essentially the new GTA, right? So, Hamilton into consideration, taking Simcoe County, Barrie into consideration, but they're quite similar. So number of sales have gone up similarly between, only TREB, Toronto Real Estate Board, and taking the Golden Horseshoe. And I think that when that starts to happen, the momentum that's building right now, you're going to start seeing more and more activity, more people coming out, and the difference in pricing will be felt. And that's what you're really looking at right now. And what you're mentioning is that you're getting more people into that. Months of inventory right now are decreasing rather increasing, meaning that in some cases, they were taking 6 months for a house to sell, and you're starting to see that number shrinking and shrinking progressively.
Yeah, in Toronto, her area, the average, her days on market is 21 to 30 days.
Yeah.
So still quite active.
Yeah.
In some very hot area, it's you can sell in 1 week, 10 days.
Yeah, and there's bidding wars happening right now. We see it all the time. There's bidding wars happening, purposely. Agents, sometimes we set up a house at a lower price depending on the marketing strategy that we have. Get a lot of offers, sell it for more. And sometimes, the market speaks for itself and the house is well priced and 2-3 people compete and you have that bidding war coming up again.
Yes.
And so I think that you're going to start seeing these things as of 2025. You're going to start seeing a momentum change. Now, by no means do I really think that it's going to be a super, super hot market. There's a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to go on. But I do think that we're going to see more number of sales. We're going to see an increase in price more markedly than we've seen right now. And I think that it's a good opportunity right now, like you said, Merrick, for people who are looking to take advantage of the lower rates to get into the market. People that are upsizing, that's a big, big area of opportunity, I think, in 2025. People that have smaller homes, condos, townhouses, that are looking to get into that bigger house. Well, it's more affordable right now with the rate drops, with the new mortgage regulations. A lot of people can actually do that now when they couldn't do it last year. So I think that's areas of opportunities to explore. And we actively help a lot of people transitioning in that phase, right? We have a lot of people that are preparing their houses, smaller houses, to come up for sale, looking to get into that bigger house in 2025.
Yeah, I just had a few clients. They sold their condos and they're ready to uprise to condo townhouse and a house.
Yeah, it's a good market to do it because when the market gets really, really hot, it's very difficult.
Yeah, price will quickly going up.
Those bigger houses sometimes are completely out of reach, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't remember that even though right now you're starting to see the return of multiple offers, it's quite moderate. It's quite manageable. But it got to a point for 2 periods. It's not only once, right? It happened in 2017 and it happened late 2021, 2022 that, it was ridiculous. 30, 40 offers for a property. No, you had no clue really what was happening. It was like a circus, right? I remember
I was in the battle of the multiple offers.
Yeah, right. It's just tough. I remember in 2021, right before the market really started popping in 2022, you couldn't get a showing in some houses.
No, before showing it's sold.
You couldn't, right? You couldn't. Like I remember, for example, I would send a client the house. I remember this one house in particular in Whitby, right? It was priced, I think, for $899. It was priced below, obviously, for multiple offers. And I sent it to my client in the morning. In the evening, he got back to me and he said, "Yeah, I want to take a look at it." I went on Broker Bay, which is the system that we use to book showings, and every slot was booked. Every slot was booked. You could not get a viewing. 15-minute slots from everything was booked until offer presentation. I've never seen anything like that.
Okay.
It was crazy. You couldn't even get a showing to see a house for 15 minutes. And back then with the COVID provisions, right? Like the pandemic was still around, or we were getting out of it. They weren't double bookings. So if you had your client in there, I couldn't bring my client at the same time, right? You had to respect the social distances. So I've never had that happen before where you can't see a house. It's all booked up until like 10, 11 p.m. It was crazy. Again, as we were talking about, I don't think that we're going to be getting into that type of market anytime soon. But it's just to show us for people that are buying right now, even though the market might be a little bit hotter than it was last year, it's still a good time to be a buyer, right? Because you're not facing that fierce competition that you were before.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. What I really want to talk about right now, too, that's in everyone's mind, and we get a lot of questions, is what are the new regulations for mortgages? And we talked about this earlier, the market changed as far as regulation for first-time home buyers and for buyers in general. But what are the new rules? So I'm going to try to explain it to them right now so we get an idea of how this is really impacting and who it's going to benefit.
Yeah, for sure. So the new regulation will start from January 15, right?
December 15th. It actually already
December
started.
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right, because a lot of people right now are on break and they haven't gotten it. So yeah. But the new regulations, to be clear, are for first-time home buyers and for insured mortgages. So let me start with the insured mortgages. So prior to December 15th, right, if you were purchasing a property that was $1 million or more, you cannot get mortgage insurance for it. Okay, so what does that mean? Is that you needed to qualify for a conventional loan. So in layman terms, it means that you needed to have 20% down payment. So if you were looking for a property that was $1 million, you need automatically to have a minimum of $200,000 down payment plus your closing costs, regardless if you were a first-time home buyer or not. Irrelevant. So you're buying $1 million, $200,000. As of December 15th of this year, any property up to $1.5 million, you can get mortgage insurance, which means that you can buy with as little as 5% down for the first portion. So 5% down for the first $500,000, 10% down for the remainder of the amount. So for example, if you're buying a $1.5 million property, before the rule change, you needed to have 20% down. So you needed to have $300,000, 20% down of that amount. In the new regulations, you need to have much less of that. You need to have 25,000 for the first 100,000 and 10% of the remainder million. So the difference in down payment now is somebody can qualify with $125,000 down before they needed 300,000. Yeah, less than half. Less than half. So who's really benefiting from these type of things is high income earners. And we have a lot of clients that are young professionals. They have great incomes, right? They're making really, really good money combined. But because the cost of living in Toronto is so expensive, they haven't been able to save these huge down payments that they needed to save before.
Yeah,
now it's a lot more manageable. So this is really, really going to help that type of bracket of consumer that has that, right? It makes it a lot more affordable. Also, a second major change is that for first-time home buyers, the amortization period of these insured mortgages goes from 25 years to 30 years. And this makes a significant difference in the monthly payment.
Yeah, it would be a bigger help.
Correct. So any first-time home buyer, buying any property up to 1.5 million can now say, I want it amortized over 30 years, making it more affordable to them on a monthly basis, because the loan, instead of being repaid in 25 years, which was mandatory for insured mortgages prior to December 15th, now can be amortized over 30 years. So again, making it more affordable, making it easier for first-time buyers to get into that house. And I think that, there's a lot of misconceptions about what these changes are. It's not perfect because nothing in life is, but I do think that it will help a certain number of people get into the market that they couldn't get before.
Yeah, for sure. That's that's a bigger also bigger number of buyers.
Big number. And what starts happening is that I think that these type of regulations, the market is perception, right? We talked about there's probably 60,000 people that have not bought a house because they wanted to know where the market was going, right? And now they're starting to get more confidence because the rates are down. They're starting to get their payments more affordable. I think this is going to bring more people into the market. It's really going to help for some home buyers. And I think it's really going to give that breath of fresh air to the condo market, which has been struggling, right? Condo market has been underperforming. I think a lot of first-time home buyers are going to start to try to get into freehold. When freehold gets out of hand in pricing, they're going to start going into the condo market. So I do think that the condo market will see a rebound in 2025.
Yeah, it'll be because for many first-time home buyers, condo is the most affordable, right? So they can start from the condo condos.
For sure. Condos make a lot of sense, and for location, right? Condos took a little bit of a beating when the pandemic occurred, and you had the exodus of the 416 into the 905.
Yeah,
and people,
in the beginning of 2022, condos still very popular.
Yeah, and then the freehold market, the 905 area got really, really hot. But you're starting to see a lot of people, and we're doing a lot of deals in Toronto because a lot of people, they want to live in the city. They want to be able to just walk outside and be downtown
professionals
and get that.
And very take advantage of the convenience.
Of course. And I think these are the people that are going to be benefited from these mortgage change regulations, because a lot of people are thinking well, it doesn't really help anybody. And you're right. There's a lot of people that this has no effect on them, right? But if you're a high income earner, right? You're a recent graduate, you're a recent, a recent IT professional, you're making good money, right? And your spouse or your partner's making good money. So your combined household income is good, but you just can't save 20% because it's super hard, right? To save 20%, and you don't have parental help. These rules are going to really, really be a game changer for you. So I really encourage you that if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you perhaps weren't qualified to buy before because you didn't have the 20%, you should really reach out to your trusted mortgage professional, your realtor, and have a conversation, because I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised that these rules are going to benefit you, and you could potentially buy now rather than saving the 20% that you had to do before.
Yeah, even parents, they're going to buy condos for their children.
Yeah,
they're going to a university or for the future, the 3-5 years.
Yeah, the bank of mom and dad.
Yeah,
always a good bank. But I want to give an example, and here's what the numbers really look like today. So average price in the Greater Toronto area, $1.1 million. And when you say average price, It can be a lot more in some areas. It can be a lot less in some if the condos are a little bit less. But in general, the pricing of a home in the Greater Toronto Area is slightly over 1.1. So I'm using an example right now of $1,100,000. And as of today, the interest rates for a 5-year fixed, as of the time of this recording, is roughly around 4%. So you can get an insured mortgage for roughly around 4.04%. And you can now amortize it over 30 years. So somebody that's watching this right now, they can buy a $1.1 million home with a down payment of $85,000. That's the minimum down for a $1.1 million home. Mm. Before this, the down payment was $220,000. So it's pretty much a third. It's less than half. You need less than half to get into it right now, right? Before, you had to amortize it over 30 years. Before, you couldn't do it over 30 years. You had to do 25 years because you're an unconventional, you were an insured loan. But now you can do it in 30 years. So to put into perspective, the monthly payment right now, if you're able to buy a $1.1 million home with $85,000 down, you're looking at $5,000 a month. That's your mortgage payment. Now, before, you would have been paying $4,500 a month, but you would have had to wait to be able to save $220,000. So right now, you're literally putting $140,000 less. Of course, your mortgage payment is higher because you're putting less down payment, but it allows you to get into the market before pricing goes up. And pricing will go up. You know, it's not a matter if it will, it's just a matter of when and how much. But if you look at historically over the last 100 years in the Toronto Real Estate Board, and that's as far as we keep track, every decade, every 10 years, pricing has doubled. You don't have to believe me. You can look it up. This is public information. You can go on Google. Every 10 years, pricing has doubled. You know, and there's been cycles. Like we have a cycle right now where pricing goes down. But in general, we cannot be looking with a magnifying glass. We have to look at the big picture. The big picture in general, if you look at every single decade, pricing has doubled in price. And I don't see any reason why that's not going to follow suit right now. You know, you have predictions from CMHC of pricing reaching over 90% growth from here till 2032. So I think that these rules really help people not to have to wait for years or get more money from their parents, and they're able to get into the market and benefit from the home ownership, benefit of that growth, right?
It's always better to start early.
It's always better to start early. So I think that that's when it's going to be making a real big impact, and we're going to be feeling that. Another thing that's up your alley that I wanted to talk about is that with interest rates starting to come down, and we've seen aggressive cuts from the Bank of Canada, I think we're going to start seeing investors come back into the market. What do you think?
Yeah, I in last 2 weeks, I have some active investors. So they are started to call me and to know about the market. And even 2 weeks ago, I had the clients went to La Garfo for a townhouse a property investment opportunity.
Yeah. I personally think, and we were talking about this before with one of our clients, is I think that an area of opportunity for investors in 2025, and it was for 2024 as well, but for 2025 is going to be really strong. I think the assignment market is going to be full of opportunities for potential buyers, because there's still going to be people that bought many years ago. The closing's coming in 2025. They're not going to be able to close. So as an investor, you can pick up a good deal.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity. Yeah. And you can some people, many of investors, they lose their deposit. They just want to walk away from the deal and hands free from the lawsuit.
Yeah, we've gotten deals in assignments of full deposit lost, closing costs covered. So great incentives for investors because they're buying essentially at the bottom of the market, what we feel is the bottom of the market. So pricing is going to go up. But with the new rates, that cash flow negative difference is not as large as it was in 2024 and 2023. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. You're buying at a rock bottom pricing. You're buying at a loss, right? A new product. You're getting a better interest rate. Interest rates probably will go down. The rental price remains fairly constant, even though rents are a little bit lower than they were last year, but it's not super significant. So I think that a lot of investors are going to return to the condo market because they're going to be close to that break-even point or maybe a little bit of negative cash flow. but the projection for growth in price is strong because you're getting a good price, you're getting a good unit, and there's going to be continued growth, continued immigration, continued buyers coming into the market so they can buy and they can hold it for a little while and watch that investment growth. So I think we're going to start seeing that coming back into the market.
Yeah, real estate investment in Canada, it's all about like a long term, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one of the things. Having a long-term strategy when you're buying real estate is mandatory. In fact, and that's something that is common knowledge, right? The people that are in trouble right now, the people that got into trouble in this last year or last 2 years, it's because they're not prepared to hold.
yeah, at least 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
if you like invest like a property in Canada, like 7 to 10 years, you will see like a greater result. But only for short term like investment is a high risk.
That's high risk. Anybody, you're totally right. Anybody that bought a house in 2000, so 7 years ago, 2017, right? They're making money.
Yeah.
Nobody is losing money, right? And the people that have lost money in this tough market that we had is people that bought in the peak, right? 2021,
Yes,
2022.
Many of them.
And many of them, right? And like situations change, right? Nobody's perfect. Situation changes. Employment goes up and down. Life changes, and now they can't afford the house. They have to sell it. They're going to sell it at a loss. But generally speaking, what I found that happens in every market when the market gets hot is that people feel that real estate is an easy way to make money, right?
Actually, in Canada, real estate is really the one of very few can make like money really.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, for sure. Safe. It's safe. But you have to plan it out well. And that's where I always do our promo pitch here is that whenever you're investing, you want to deal with professionals that have a system, that have done these themselves. Like I have investments myself. Merrick has everyone on my team. We're prepared to advise investors because not only do we have the professional experience and designation to do it, we have our own personal experience.
Yeah.
So we can share that with you. But going back to my point is that I feel that a lot of people were buying because they thought that the market was always going to be continuing going up. They don't take into consideration the fluctuations in the market. And they got caught in the wrong time. They weren't really prepared to hold that property for a long period of time. And now they have to sell at a bad time. But every one of my buyers that bought, even in the peak of the market, because, I'm not going to sit here and say that, I had a lot of buyers buy at the peak of the market, a lot, right? None of them have had to sell because we were prepared to withstand, right? As long as they can make their payments, their tenants are covering, why would you sell, right? A lot of them fixed their mortgages for 5 years. So they're not up for renewal until 2026. So essentially, a lot of people weathered the storm. A lot of them. For one person that couldn't weather the storm, there's 4 or 5 that were able to sit through it, right? It's just the reality. So that goes to say, whenever you're getting into something, whether it's a pre-construction project or whether it's resale or your own principal residence, you have to have that vision that, hey, if you get into a situation where you're going to have to sell next year, might not be good for you. But if you go into it with the mindset that, hey, this is a long-term investment for at least 5 years, you should generally do fairly well with it.
Yeah, like a real estate, it's like a quick decision and like a long-term decision sometimes.
Yeah, it has to be, right? And when the market's really, really hot, and we might get into that. We might get into that in the next couple of years. It's easy to make money. You can buy a property today and next year's goes up by $100,000, $150,000 and great. But you can't plan for that. You can't expect for that to happen.
There's no like a guarantee.
Yeah.
Real estate is any investment that comes with the risk.
Yeah. So I guess to wrap this up, all right, I do feel that 2024 generally has been a good year as far as the rebound of the market. The market behaved in ways that we expected it to, right? It was slow when there was no movement in the interest rates. But as of August, we started to see more rates come down. And we also started to hear the tune of the Bank of Canada that they're going to come down more, right? The banks have changed their predictions, but the overnight lending rate for next year, you said it was predicted to be around 2.5 or I hear 2.75. Some people say some banks, I think, I don't remember which one exactly, came down to saying as low as 2% overnight lending rate. So
yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. But if we look at it being at 2.5 or 2.75, there's still aggressive cuts to come. We're going to see at least half a point being cut in the next year or so. So it's going to make it more affordable for potential buyers. It's going to make it better for investors, right? And it's going to bring more sales into the market. It's going to bring more confidence of people who have been waiting on the sidelines for 2-3 years. They're going to come back because they need to make a decision. They need to make a move. Life happens. People don't only buy to invest. They buy because, they had a baby, or they're downsizing, or they're retiring.
Lifestyle changes.
Lifestyle changes. You said it correctly. And we deal with a lot of those. So I think we're going to be seeing more pronounced activity into 2025. So 2024 behaved into that way. I think the number of sales to close off this year is going to be slightly higher than last year, but I do predict that momentum really, really shifting into next year, into 2025. And most importantly, I do feel that my prediction for as far as price growth, I think that we're probably in the greater Horseshoe area, greater Toronto area, we're probably going to see a moderate increase, anywhere between 5 to 7% is what they're saying as far as predictions go by different companies, by different media. And I think that's in line with the growth that we're expecting to see. So I do feel that we've probably seen the lowest price that we're going to see, at least in this cycle. And now there's going to be more momentum coming up, and there's good areas of opportunities. And as we shared earlier, the areas of opportunities that are going to happen in 2025 are going to be for the first-time home buyer, because the mortgage regulations are allowing you to buy with less of a down payment and amortize it over a longer period of time, which means that you need less money to get in and you need less money on a monthly basis. Like, pretty simple. So it's going to be good for you. And for investors, I think investors can benefit from the lower rates and continue building their portfolio. And upsizers, those families that we work with a lot that are selling their home, they're selling their condo, they're going to find good opportunities now, more affordable, to get into bigger properties.
Yeah, 2025 should be a great year in real estate investment.
Yeah. So we feel that it's always going to be good for you to plan ahead. And that's why it's a good opportunity to work with a team of professionals that really have a system designed, right? Because when we take on a client, Merrick, we just don't list the house on the MLS, for example, on a listing and just hope it sells. We have a system that we follow that guarantees the results that people need when they're buying or selling.
Yeah, for sure. For example, we sold one property in Scarborough. We just sold it in first week. We had a very good offer.
Yeah, that's right. And these results are typical with us, because in reality, when you're selling a house, when you're putting up a house for sale, sometimes the public just sees the result, right? They see sold or not sold, right? But there's a lot of steps and sequences that go into that result.
Yeah,
right?
even we sold over asking $100,000 in the very difficult market.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we were able to sell condos when other condos.
Yeah, I sold a lot of condo just in 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over asking price also.
And even when the average days on the market were over 20, 30, right, we're able to get it done in a matter of days. So the professional that you work with really, really makes a difference when you're selling your home, when you're buying your home, when you're investing. So as always, to close off, I invite you that you get in touch with us, that you set up a consultation, and that you really see the difference. Why they call our move the winning move method is because it's designed to get you ahead and help you make a winning move, whether you're buying, selling, or investing. So I invite you guys to get in touch. Always start with a DM or a phone call for a consultation, and we'll lay out a plan for you to get you the result that you want and make sure that you're protected along the way. One of the things that really basic that I think people forget about real estate is that as a professional, we're here to protect you, to look out for your best interest, to make sure that you get from point A to point B. And most realtors want to do that for their clients, but they don't have the experience, they don't have the resources or the knowledge of the market to get you there. And when you work with us, when you work with the Eddie Donan team, you have 17 years of experience. You have a team working for you, multilingual team of professionals, and everyone in our team has a role in helping you get to the next step and getting you where you want to go. So we always invite you to get in touch with myself, with Merrick, with anybody in the team, and we're always happy to help.
Yeah, for sure. We sell quick, high, and results oriented.
That's it. And we protect you every step of the way, which is important. Fiduciary duties are very, very important in this market and in any market for that matter, making sure that you don't make any mistakes. Because when mistakes happen, that's where it costs you big, big money.
That's true.
So it's been a great show. Thank you so much for coming here, Merrick, and doing this. I know it's your first
It's my
podcast.
pleasure, yeah.
So hopefully you had a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good. Anything that you want to mention before we shut off in here?
So yeah, that's all for today, and we will if any home buyers or investors looking for invest in real estate a property, just contact us.
Wonderful. Yeah. And we'll see you with the Eddie Donan Show in 2025, bringing you very important guests, very special guests, a lot of fun news, and of course, keeping you up to date of everything that's happening in real estate. Thank you so much for another wonderful year. From our team, from my family, we wish everyone a happy holidays and a very prosperous, a very happy, a very healthy 2025. And I know that this year, 2025, is going to be a lot better than 2024. And there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, be positive and be happy.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have a good 2024, the good thing about it, as one of my good friends and mentors said in one of his videos, is that you get to put it where it belongs. You get to put it behind you. And now you have a lot to look forward to in 2025.
Yeah, that's true. Mm.